Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer 2 quick match gameplay. This time around we are playing as the Lizardmen against the Vampire Counts, and I do know we are on a bit of a Lizardman kick, but after the tourney I got a bit of a taste for them. I've been having some fun with them, and although the thing with Lizardmen is that they're very limited in their builds, I've actually been having fun, or in their standard meta builds. I've been having a lot of fun with off-meta, ridiculous testing of ridiculous units and trying stuff that isn't necessarily recommended. So stuff like Cold One Riders and Horned Ones and units like that. And I've been having a lot of fun with it, the Salon Mage Priest. So here, we are actually going with a bit more of a conventional composition, though the Croxigors are once again making a comeback. So going in against Vampire Counts, I did decide to bring Lord Mazdamundi, but he is on his toilet seat rather than on his lock, because lock is incredibly expensive. I did bring Roiling Skies because Vampire Counts do tend to bring flyers, and double Terrorgeist plus Manfred or Red Duke is a pretty common sight. So, debuff's nice. Make him weaker. Of course, he's got Greater Arcane Conduit. I did bring quite a few spells. I brought Apotheosis, I brought Curse of the Midnight Wind, Harmonic Convergence, and Net of a Mintok to try to root down enemy flyers, keep them on the ground. Banishment, as well as Ruination of Cities to destroy enemy infantry blobs. And finally, Shield of the Old Ones to potentially protect against some magic damage if it made an appearance. For the front line, it is 3 Temple Guard backed by 2 Croxigors. So Temple Guard, of course, will basically out-trade or beat down every Vampire Count infantry. I don't know how they'll do against Graveguard 3 weapons, but otherwise they'll basically win against everything. Croxigors, of course, will help them win those fights decisively and much more quickly. They're an amazing anti-infantry unit. A lot of people, I think, underestimate Croxigors, but I really do enjoy them, and I think they're a pretty great unit. Behind that is Single Unit Star Spears, because I had a few points left over, and these guys, of course, do provide some additional AP or non-AP anti-large. They can help support if needed. They can kind of plunge into the gap to provide additional help. Then we do have 2 Star Scarvets. These guys are just coming in with Foe Seeker and Potion of Strength just to get that extra burst damage. And of course, these guys are mostly there to try to pressure out Mortis Engines, which I actually think are a huge threat in this matchup. I feel like a lot of matchups, once you actually break it down or boil a matchup down, you'll find that a lot of matchups for Lizardmen, or for Vampire Counts, you can turn a lot of matchups into very chaos-esque matchups where you just bring a Mortis Engine to win the infantry fight, and then just bring flyers to decide or anti-large to decide the anti-large game. Certainly not an option in every fight. I don't think it's good against Empire. I don't think it's good against Dwarves, for example. But in most matchups, I do think it's a decent choice. So you want to have tools to deal with that. So Star Scarvets to deal with that. For my opponent's build, though, he did not bring a Mortis Engine. He brought a front line of Graveguard, which ends some Skeleton Warriors. So of course, Sternsmen anchoring things in the center. The Sternsmen. So the Skeleton Spears, the Skeleton Warriors, all these units, they're kind of there to bog me down, but I would assume that at least the Sternsmen would normally trade effectively with the Temple Guard. Graveguard will lose some damage. And in the meantime, the Vargulfs and the Blood Knights and the Bats, they can definitely cause a lot of disruption. They can definitely cause a lot of mayhem. Manfred can be landing some nasty breath attacks. And if we look at Manfred's kit here, he does have Fate of Buna as well, which is going to be annoying against my elite troops. Though hopefully we can utilize our defensive abilities with the Shield of the Old Ones to protect ourselves. And then he does have Raised Dead as well as Master of the Black Arts, and Invocation of the Hex. So Manfred, of course, can spam a lot of spells. Here we are going to try to get a banishment, and it kind of whiffs and doesn't do very much. So, yeah, a bit wasted. I probably should have held that back, but it is what it is. We will get a nice little Ruination of Cities here. So my opponent very clumped up into the Graveyard, and it does go off in a much better fashion. You're just roasting some Graveyard, completely smushing the Skeleton Spears, and really putting my opponent in a terrible spot. Plus, the Croxigors did disrupt this initial charge, which is kind of good for the coming out Temple Guard. Unfortunately, the Blood Knights are going to get a beautiful charge into the Croxigors. We do counteract with Shield of the Old One, trying to keep things together. And as you can see, the fight is going to start going rather well for us. The Spears here are going to dive into the Vargulf. The Breath doesn't do very much because the Temple Guards are always scattered. And over here, the Star Scarvets are going to start munching on the Blood Knights. And Star Scarvets, especially when they're backed up by Temple Guard, when they're backed up by Croxigors, they are going to do a lot of damage. Now, my opponent here countering with Invocation of the Heck, but we in turn are going to drop a Curse of the Midnight Wind, debuffing these guys' stats by a huge amount, and helping all of our troops here hold up the Croxigors, especially we hit them with an Apotheosis, trying to keep that HP up and keep them in the fight. Of course, Croxigors will tear through zombies, they'll tear through spears, Fellbats, all this peripheral chaff, while the Carnosaurs are able to lay the smackdown on the Blood Knights. The Blood Knights here are my opponent's only major anti-large unit. Vargulfs are okay, but not amazing. And everything else here, a little you know, everything Vargul's, everything else here not really great. Skeleton Spears, they're not going to do very much. So my opponent here does take Manfred away. Now, one of the good things for him here is that while my troops are all bogged down slaughtering these Blood Knights, this is a pretty cost-efficient tie-down for him. He's got about 4,000 points worth of Scarvets tied down. He's got 1,000 points of Croc Scores and another 1,200 points of Temple Guard, all bogged down over here. So about half my army is tied down in this pocket against, like, 2/3 of that cost. So definitely a cost-effective win for him. And because of that, he's able to swing over here with Manfred and start laying the smackdown on my Temple Guard. Although Manfred's not meant to fight anti-large, he will do some damage to these Temple Guard. He's definitely doing some hurt. And they're definitely starting to struggle. They're not immune to psychology. They're not sort of amazing at enduring. They've got good leadership, but they are definitely starting to suffer. It's a little unfortunate. That said, the Blood Knights, despite Invocation of the Neck, are not going to stick around for long. Here in the center, things are definitely coming out in my favor. The Spearmen and and Mazmundi and the Temple Guard just holding out so well against all this chaff, and even slaughtering the Sternsmen. Of course, the Crocs were just putting the smackdown on really hard. And my opponent here trying to use Vargulf, but I actually do detach more of my Scarvets to chase it off and force it away. While on the other flank, we have finally wiped out the Blood Knights, and now this flank is starting to clean up. So these Skeleton Warriors will be able to get rid of them. Vargulf is able to force off our Scarvet, but we're going to take him here and jump on Manfred and do a lot of damage. Now, unfortunately, Fate of Buno going down here, and I did not have Shield of the Old Ones ready to go, so these guys are going to take quite a bit of damage. Fate of Buno has been nerfed. It's a lot less cost effective, but it's still a potent spell. It's still pretty nasty to deal with, and it's going to do some major damage. So, nonetheless, the Scarvets, we did force Manfred off, and we're going to get a beautiful banishment over here on these skeletons. So let's just watch this going down as it just sucks these guys up and then plows through them. The Temple Guard over here is just almost dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter even if it had hit them. You can see these guys just completely start falling apart. Skeleton Warriors, Skeleton Spears, even the Grave Guard having a horrible time with things and really getting annihilated there. On this flank on the right, the Croc Scores and the Temple Guard are going to slaughter these Skeleton Warriors, and we're able to sort of shut down these Vargulfs. You can see the Scarvets, they're kind of putting that guy down, making him shut up and sit down. They're kind of able to knock him all over the place. And now when Manfred comes in, we're going to be able to start playing Smackdown on Manfred. One of the cool things about Scarvets is that they have a very high bonus versus large. It's 35. So while their baseline stats, especially with the debuff coming in from Manfred's Cloud of Flies, might not look very good, in fact, they're very, very well off. They have a very high chance of hitting here. We are going to get a Potion of Strength going down, which is going to make ourselves more powerful, and Manfred is in for a horrible day. In the meantime, another Runish of Cities going down, just annihilating these troops. And my opponent's in a pretty grim spot. Now, certainly his Vargulf is going to start beating on Mazda, but Mazda does have 5,000 HP overall. He's going to be able to soak this up, wander off on his toilet seat, and let the Spears tank, because they're still strong enough to tank. Now, a big misplay, though, here on my part was letting this pocket of troops sit around loitering, doing very little, when they really needed to be over here mopping these troops up. And you can see Sternsmen, as usual, just holding to the bitter end. It's such a ridiculous unit sometimes. I don't even understand if it's possible for them to disintegrate. They just don't. You can see they just finally died, but it took way too long. That said, Manfred having a horrible day. He does cast Invocation of the Heck, but he has come close to his healing cap, and he's being forced to rout. Unfortunately, the Scarvet here, trying to sit the Vargulf down, is definitely taking a pounding. Fortunately, the Vargulf, you know, despite some good buffs and despite his veterancy and all that, is definitely not doing the best. And at this point, we are actually going to pull our Scarvet away. Now, a bit of a misplay here was that I dropped Cold-Blooded on my Scarvet, who was actually, I wanted to stay in the fight. I wanted to drop Cold-Blooded on him, pull him out of the fight, but instead we accidentally hit this guy, which means kind of wasted. But it doesn't matter. My opponent's army is at this point going to suffer army losses. You can see Manfred, they're going to get chomped on, and it is simply going to be GG. So this build, I think, is pretty potent. Now, there were certainly some micro mistakes on my part, some misuses of my bounce spells, which could have done much better had I targeted them more competently. But nonetheless, I do think this is a pretty potent composition. You've got your good shutdowns against large. You're able to bunker down and hold very effectively. And of course, because you've got, once again, much like Chosen, for example, you have pretty high HP per model on your Temple Guard. You're pretty resistant to your opponent's drain effect if they bring in Mortis Engine. And then the Croc Scourgers help you win that infantry fight much more efficiently. You can see these guys racked up 113, 95 kills, doing some absolutely great work. And so the build just, in general, held up rather effectively. For my opponent's composition, Vargulfs, they can work. I like them in some matchups. I think they're absolutely great in some matchups. I think against Bretonnia, I think against Empire, they're a stellar choice. Not so much against Lizardmen. I think against Lizardmen, you want the Terrorgeist Goon Squad. I think you're better off because you need something to kill large boys. That's my 2 cents. But otherwise, you know, I think this build is pretty solid. And yeah. There's not much else to say. And for my opponent, like I said, Blood Knights, you can bring them. You can try to go for something more oriented towards that. Personally, I just prefer Mortis Engine plus monsters, or plus Terrorgeists. But that's my take on things. I don't know. I don't know what I'd change if I was trying to go for this sort of build against lizards. Maybe bring some more heavy-duty infantry. Try to actually win the front line fight. Maybe use the Vargulfs instead of using the Vargulfs to disrupt. Try to use the Vargulfs to kill off the Kroxigors. If you can get rid of the Kroxigors, you'll be able to trade much more effectively in the front line fight. But that's my 2 cents on it. It's a little difficult to say. Regardless, good game to my opponent here, Hunk. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below, and like and subscribe down below. As usual, if you have any comments, any criticism, be sure to share. I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. And I do suppose that is it. I appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Wyvern out.